everybody, Katie here. So today I thought I'd share some tips on how to survive a long flight comfortably. Yes, it is possible. It's definitely possible if you plan ahead. Just the thought of an overseas long-haul flight is pretty daunting. It's a little scary sometimes. Nobody really looks forward to this, but I do believe that there are certain steps that you can take to make sure that your flight is comfortable and make sure that you arrive at your destination feeling pretty good. So if it's a business trip at the other end, you're going to get there and feel more refreshed and ready to tackle work. Or if it's a vacation on the other end, you're going to be so glad you took some steps to make sure that when you get to your destination, you're going to feel more rested and not waste precious vacation time on trying to recoup from an exhausting flight. So some of these things I've definitely learned through trial and error, and I just thought I'd pass them along on how to ensure comfortably surviving a long flight. Sometimes, you get there and it's, wow, you got plenty of legroom, but it's a short flight. And then other times, you're gonna have a long flight and you're just jammed in. Unfortunately, that's what happened to us the last time we went to Europe. We went from California to London. It was an 11-hour trip, and we were literally jammed in there like sardines. So much so that my husband was pretty miserable and decided after we got to London to auction for first-class seats on the way home. If you've already arranged for your flight home, sometimes you can auction for first-class seats, and they're a lot better price than if you had tried to do that in the beginning. Obviously, first class is just not an option for a lot of people. We're not going to be going first class this next time, and that's okay. There's ways around it. Since my kids have grown and moved out on their own, I've had a lot more opportunity to do some traveling, and sometimes it's with them and sometimes not. But I don't have a whole lot of experience with traveling with babies. They did bring their babies, so that would be my little advice to you, is get your mother or your mother-in-law to go with you and they'll help you. So that's what worked for us. Good luck to you guys that are traveling with little ones. It's not always easy. So I'm just going to give you a real brief list on some of the things that I think are really important, and then we'll go into more detail with each of those things. Okay, so let's start with planning. I think that one of the most important things that you can do to prepare yourself for your upcoming trip is to choose your arrival time carefully, if at all possible. If you plan this right, this is what's going to most help your body to adjust to the time zone that you're going into. If you can plan to arrive at your destination maybe mid to late afternoon, get a chance to go to your hotel or wherever it is you're staying and maybe check in, unpack a little, get settled, then go back out just for a couple hours. Maybe get a bite to eat, have a drink, unwind, de-stress, all that good stuff. Then come back and go to sleep. I think that's really important. If you're on vacation, there's so many sights out there to see and you're so excited to start your vacation, but it's really going to pay off in the long run for the rest of your vacation if you get a good night's sleep that first night. Still on planning, tip number 2, choose your seats. If at all possible, choose your seats. Do you like the aisle seat? Do you like the window seat? Do you need to be by a bathroom? Make sure that you are choosing a good seat, because this is your home for 10 or 11 hours, so maybe 20, 25 extra dollars, maybe it will be well worth it and you can be comfortable in your seat. Maybe you can sit right next to somebody and you can lean your head on them or something like that. Choose your seat if possible. Tip number 3, and this does come under planning because you got to start hydrating 2 to 3 days before you have your long flight. I think it's really important because, you get on the plane and you've got first of all, there's the altitude. That in and of itself is drying. And then you've got the cabin air, which is pressurized and recirculating, and it's just not really very good. So you want to make sure that you're really hydrating your skin, your eyes, your nose, the membranes in your nose, all that stuff. They get so dry. It's really helpful to start doing this 2 to 3 days before your long flight and to continue doing it during your flight. Even though you have to use the restroom and all that stuff, I know it's not a very fun thing. Nobody likes to get up and have to use the restroom. But the good news is that you're going to get a little walk in, and everybody needs to walk on a long flight. So tip number 4, lower your caffeine intake. And what I mean by lower is, I don't mean to be drastic about it or anything. Don't do anything that's going to cause you to, have a gnarly headache or anything like that. But maybe just cut down a little bit so that it kind of takes the edge off of any anxiety you may have, or you know, maybe you'll be ready to go to sleep a little bit sooner, which is all good when you're on a long flight. So my suggestion is, for instance, with me, I have a cup and a half every day, so I would just eliminate that half cup that day. Don't do anything that's going to cause you a major migraine or anything like that. Okay, so those are the tips that I would suggest as far as planning for that long flight. And the other things I would suggest have to do with packing and what you're going to put in your carry-on bag. Okay, so let's talk about that second carry-on. As far as choosing your carry-on, I would suggest two things for sure. Number one, a structured bag, and number two, pockets. Plenty of pockets. Sometimes pockets can be annoying because then you're not sure, where did I put that? Which pocket is it in? But if you keep putting it in the same pocket every time, you'll start to remember. As far as structure, this is an example. This is my husband's backpack. This was his carry-on when we went to Europe, and this is why he's not going to be bringing it back, because there's no way, it has no structure. If you try to put it on a table and get stuff out of it, it just falls over. It's just really annoying, actually. This is my backpack. I don't carry this backpack all the time. Sometimes I want a tote or something like that, but as long as it has a structure and a form. I'm holding this at the bottom and it's not going anywhere. It's not moving. It's not going to flop on the person's legs next to me or take up that much room underneath the seat. It's really nice to be able to set it on something and it's not fighting with you because it's got a mind of its own. It's just nice and firm, and it's got lots of pockets. Okay, so what you're going to pack in that carry-on. My suggestion first is to write yourself a list. Make sure you have a list and make sure that you check off that list before you leave the house the morning of your flight. I've done that before. I'll have a little list and then I forget to check it off. What was the point? So one of the first things that I would put on my list would be hand sanitizers. You know, you can pick up these, they're little wet ones, antibacterial wipes, and you can wipe down the little tray in front of you, use them after the bathroom, whatever. Or get yourself a little container of Purell. Maybe you don't want to do the Purell or the, you know, drying out alcohol type sanitizers. There's other options. They have these great essential oil hand sanitizers now. This one happens to be from TERRA, and this is On Guard antiseptic, and it's got kind of a cinnamon smell. It smells really good, actually. And it comes in a roll-on also, if you prefer. But you know, you can take these, just spray it right on the tray. These are great if you don't want to do the antibacterial type. Recently, all of my family went to Hawaii, and my daughter-in-law handed all of these out to everybody. She loves doTERRA, and she's all about the essential oils, so everybody got one of these, and that was great. The second thing that I would make sure I'd have, or second and third, I'm just going to call them two because they're kind of the same, but hand lotion. I use this Gold Bond, and it's got vitamins A, C, E, and it's got aloe in it. And it's just a really tiny little tube, but it's got a lot in there and it's real nice and thick and creamy. This lip butter, just so your lips aren't dried out. Now, you know, you can do chapstick or, you know, Carmex or whatever that is, but this happens to be vanilla chai lip butter from Urban Organics, and it smells really good, and it comes in this nice green container. Another thing I like to have is another essential oil, maybe lavender or some calming essential oil, just to help you relax and de-stress when you're on the plane. If you have anxiety or something like that, these really work well. You can roll them behind your neck or on your wrists, and they're really a big help. The third thing that I think is really important to have in your reachable carry-on are all your medications. You know, sometimes people take medications at funky hours. Maybe they have to take it before a meal, maybe they have to take it on an empty stomach, right before bed, whenever. But it's nice if you have it right in your bag, right near you. You don't have to bother anybody and get up into the overhead, unpack, try to find your medication and all that stuff. So medications and at least a day, day and a half supply in that bag. Also maybe any sleep aids to help you sleep on the plane. Maybe Benadryl or, you know, Aleve PM, maybe anti-anxiety if that's what you need. But I wouldn't try anything new that I hadn't tried before, or you may have a problem on the plane, you may have a problem later when you're at your destination, and you don't want that to happen. So Don't try anything new on a long trip. So the next thing you want on your list are comfy layering clothes. A lot of times people are just using a carry-on. Sometimes they want to wear their like bulkiest jacket. Just make sure it's soft and that it's going to be comfortable to cover you on that long flight. Sometimes you could just bring a nice soft scarf that's not itchy around your neck. That's an amazing thing that really keeps you warm if you put it around your neck. Or you can just, if you get a wide enough scarf, you can, pretty much use it as a blanket. So these are great to have. Another thing I like to do is bring an extra pair of cozy socks for the plane. Even if I just throw them away when I get there, I don't care. It's just, if I have cold feet, I can't go to sleep. It's worth it to me just to bring some pair of warm, cozy socks. And sometimes I'll often wear tennis shoes on a flight like that, and I'll loosen the ties so I don't have to sit there and mess with that every time I need to use the restroom. I just, keep that thick sock on and just slide my shoes on, and then it's just really easy that way. A mask. The mask is going to really help block out people turning on and off the light, the sun going down, all that stuff. It's also going to help with the air circulating down and blowing right on your face. So these are really great to have. Just make sure whatever comfy things that you're bringing, they can be layered, because sometimes you're all of a sudden hot, and if you can't take it off because your seatbelt and it's pretty tight, then you're going to be miserable. Make sure you bring layers. Okay, so electronics. I'm going to start with chargers, because there's no point in bringing your phone or your iPad if you don't have a way to charge it. So make sure you get these. This is just like a pocket juice. You can pick these up on Amazon. Of course, make sure you bring all your cords and your power supply, and make sure you have your adapter if you're going to Europe or another place that you need an adapter. And often it's really nice if you have the time and plan ahead a little bit. Download some books, maybe a meditation app, maybe a couple movies, just so if you don't have access to internet, you've got something to entertain yourself. And don't forget these, your noise canceling headphones. These are Bose brand headphones, and they're really awesome. These things really cancel out the noise, and you're not going to hear the babies crying in the back or the sound of the jet motor or anything like that. So these are really a great thing to have with you. Another thing I really like to have in my carry-on are snacks from home. You never know if you're going to have a chance to go to a restaurant at the airport or what kind of food they're going to serve on the plane. You don't know. So just make sure you pack yourself some snacks, something that you like that doesn't need to be refrigerated, that doesn't smell on the plane and bother everybody. But just some snacks from home, it's always a nice thing to have. So this next tip didn't really have anything to do with planning or packing, but I still think it's really important, and that's to walk. Walk as much as you can. So on the way to your long flight, if there's an option to step on that people mover, don't take it. Walk, 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 because you need to keep that blood circulating, and you're going to be sitting in a long place for a long time, and that's not a normal thing to do. It's one thing to stretch out on your bed at night, but it's another thing to, sit like that with your knees bent for such a long period of time. It's really not very good for you. So in between your naps, on the plane, get up, walk back and forth to the bathroom, do some stretches. Don't worry if people are looking at you. It doesn't matter. Maybe they're doing the same when you're sleeping. So I just wouldn't worry about that. But make sure you get up and walk. And if you can't get up and walk and the person sitting next to you is sound asleep and you really don't feel comfortable getting up, do some leg pumps. All you have to do is just sit straight and pump your leg up so that the blood is being forced up through your calves, through your thighs, and up to your heart. Do 50 of those, maybe once an hour or once every 2 hours. Just make sure that you are getting your blood moving through your body, either walking or sitting and doing those leg pumps. As far as the pressure stockings, some people like those. Somebody told my mom to get a pair, and she got some that I was not happy with because they came up to her knees. Not over her knees, but right up to her knees. So it seemed like it was kind of like a rubber band, and that's like the last thing that you want. It's much better to have it go up over your knee with no areas where it's like cinching you in any way. So these are my most basic tips on how to survive a long flight comfortably and get to your destination feeling rested and ready for what lies ahead. So have any of you guys gone on long flights? I'd like to hear in the comments below where you went and how it went, and any tips that you have of your own. Don't forget to leave your comments below. As always, I really do appreciate you guys taking some time to spend with me, and please don't forget to click like and subscribe if you like this video. Thanks a lot. See you guys soon.